Welcome back to Techtonica. Today we're going to be automating our fuel and getting our actual factory started. Let's get going. All right, welcome back. Today we're going to dive into an actual factory building. And the first thing we need to take care of today is our Plantmatter, because we have to automate this stuff so that we don't have to manually feed machines. So that's what we're going to look at today. But we need more cores to unlock all of the stuff that we sort of found in the last episode. So the first thing we do is actually need to activate memory cores. And then we're going to have to produce a whole bunch of these so that we can unlock everything. And by doing so, we're going to turn this into this. And now we pretty much have all the cores we need to unlock all of our production technology and then some. We don't have quite every single red cube we need, but the thing is that we're not going to unlock, I think we'll be okay with for now. So we got the mole upgrades. We're going to get our assemblers, our planter, our thresher unlocked. We're also going to get our tool belt, our fast inserter, and our filter inserter, which we're going to need all this stuff. We'll also get our suit speed. Walking faster is great. A couple other things. We can't get everything, but I don't think we need these beacons, and we already got the Etch-a-Sketch. We don't need the lights. So we'll get go ahead and just unlock the crank and the accumulator. And we can't get this. That's is not available in alpha. That's okay. All right, let's move on. All right, I know the perfect spot to get started on our Plantmatter factory. And I think we're gonna do it right in here where all of this Plantmatter already is. It's a really nice, large room. It has lots of space. We can use the mole to dig it out and level it up a little bit better, which is what I think I'm gonna do now. Let me clear this out and we'll get started. All right, now that we have a nice big room set up with lots of foundations or power floors, whatever they're called, we can get started. So the first thing we need to do is kind of need to understand how the planter and the thresher work. Take a quick look at these. So the planter allows us to fit 4 seeds into it, and each one of those seeds, it will convert into a Kindle vine over the course of 2 minutes, effectively giving us 2 Kindle vines per minute. The Kindle vines will be sent to the thresher. So the thresher is going to take a Kindle vine and convert those to 4 Plantmatter and 1 Kindle vine seed over the course of 15 seconds. Effectively, it's going to take 4 Kindle vine per minute and output 16 Plantmatter and 4 Kindle vine seeds per minute. However, some of that needs to be fed back to the machine for fuel, giving us effectively maybe about 12 or 13 Plantmatter per minute. So, since this can handle 4 Kindle vines per minute and this can produce 2 Kindle vines per minute, it means that we can have a ratio of 2 planters for every 1 thresher. Obviously, if it's working perfectly at full optimum level, 2 planters should be able to feed 1 thresher. And this should be a closed loop. The number of seeds in the system will stay constant because we'll consume them and then reproduce them. Also, I noticed that I was looking at the fast inserter and I counted it took about 1.5 seconds for it to do its job, which means that it can move about 40 items per minute. And since a planter consumes 2 items per minute, that means that we can feed about 20 planters with 1 fast inserter. As if it's working perfectly. Obviously, if there's a slight performance variance, probably could account for a little bit less. So we'll maybe set up a few rows and we'll deal with it. So those are the numbers. So those are the numbers. I say we get started. I think what we're going to do is we're going to put our planters down this line. All right, I've laid out 8 threshers down this row. We could obviously do this a couple ways. We could make different groups. I think this way we don't have as many belts going over each other. So we could certainly, instead of doing this, we could certainly group them as 2 planters to 1 thresher. We could easily just sort of group them up like this somehow and cycle it out. But I think for belt purposes, having them in a row like this and then putting the threshers over here will be a little easier. So that's what we're going to do. And so my thought process is we'll have storage containers over here and we'll run a belt down the line. And that will be, for this row, the way we feed in the seeds. We'll just use regular inserters for this, just like that. And then we'll have another set of belts right here. That's going to go all the way down this way. And then it'll come out and probably turn. So we'll do, again, just output with the inserters like this. And so I'm going to repeat this maybe 2 more times. Just the same thing. Okay, so those 3 rows are set up. We now have 24 planters, which means we should be able to feed 12 threshers. I think I need to clear out just a little bit more space back here so we can move the belts along. But we'll have the seeds come up each row, and then the exported Kindle vines will come out and we'll bring them over here to the threshers. Okay, so I expanded our room just a little bit to fit the belts back there, and I'll have each one stay on a dedicated line to go feed 4 threshers. That way we have 8 to 4, our 2 to 1 ratio. That's what I want to see. That'll work. All right, so we have to account for how we're going to export seeds and send them back. So what I'm thinking is we have our toolbars. We're going to need to use some of these filter inserters so that we can export seeds on one and plant matter on another. So I'm going to make a bunch of those. The thing we have to account for is the fact that our filter inserters are only, they're not like long inserters. They'll only go to the belt next to them. So that means that we need to have an output belt for seeds on one side. You could also do it in between here if we wanted to. That would be okay. But we'll need to have it right next to the output. And then we'll have plant matter on the other side. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the seeds are going to run this way. They're going to run right next to. So we'll export the seeds like this. And then they'll eventually turn and go back into the system feeding over there. That way we can put a filter exporter, let's say right here, where we'll set it to a seed. Our Kindle vine will actually come down this belt, about here. Yay, 300 conveyor belts. And we'll use these long inserters to pull from that to feed into the machine. And that handles our seeds and the Kindle vine. Now we need to deal with the plant matter. And since, again, we'll need to do a filter and sort on this side, we'll have the belt run right next to the machines this way. They need plant matter out like this. And then we'll, again, use the filter and sorter, let's say here, where we will select plant matter, which will export there. And then we'll use a regular old inserter to feed plant matter back in to the machine. That way it's always feeding itself. We'll do that down the line and just repeat this process. And there we go. That's how our machines are going to be set up. We'll just do this 2 more times, and then we'll have our full 12 threshers. All right, so all the threshers are set up. 12 threshers, 24 planters. Now we just need to make sure we have our belts for our output Kindle vines. Reach over to our threshers. So we're just going to connect these up just like so. And that one will go right. We rotate that one. There we go. All right, at this point, we need a way for ourselves to maintain a nice clean distribution of seeds and at the same time prevent us from having to hand feed and saturate the system. So what I'm going to do is have these 3 containers here be my storage. And what we're going to do is we're going to equally divide them using the built-in splitter mechanism. There we go. So now this we can feed from outside. So we can have our seeds come in, and then it'll be evenly distributed between each of these. And so what we're going to do is use our fast inserters. Even though it's probably not necessary, I'm going to go ahead and use them. just so that we know that we have enough, and we'll have fast inserters exit right here. Our seeds will come in, be evenly divided. So our seeds will come in and will be evenly divided between the 3 boxes, and that way each of the rows is going to get an even amount of seeds coming back from the threshers. And the boxes will just be an overflow. All right, so I've added the belts for the seeds from the threshers to come back and feed into these machines. I've already loaded them with some seeds. I took away the first belt so the system won't kick on yet. So once I add the belts back, the inserters will start running. So the last thing we need to do here is add some outputs for the plant matter. And we're going to assume that we're getting at least 12 plant matter per machine, possibly a little bit more. And that means that we're going to be getting about 48 plant matter per minute on each row. And since we know a fast inserter could only handle maybe maximum 40 per minute, we're going to need to make sure that our storage container has 2 inputs, and that way also 2 outputs. That way it can handle it. So I think we'll do it like this. And that way we can have the output belt swing around here like this up to here. And then we can put a fast inserter here and a fast inserter here. That should handle the required belt speed that we need. All right, everything looks done. I think it's gonna run well. We're gonna time to turn it on and start testing it. So we will add our belts to the outputs, and the seeds are going to start feeding down the line, and we're going to have plants start to grow. Let's just accelerate this process slightly, shall we? And through the magic of video editing, we now have Kindle vines coming out. Boy, that was quick, wasn't it? Our Kindle vines are going to start feeding into our threshers, and again, these can handle 4 per minute. They take 15 seconds to process. And with that, we now have seeds coming out. We have plant matter coming out, which will then continue to feed the fuel inputs. And otherwise, all excess will be going towards our containers. All right, everything is running. We're going to let it run for a little while, see how it saturates, see if it goes where we want it to go. We may need to put more seeds into the system, and that's simply just because due to the large system, seeds are on belts, and because they're on belts for a longer period of time, they may not necessarily get to where they need to go if there's just not enough seeds in the entire system. So we may need a few more seeds to keep everything running at 100%. Like this one down here has an empty spot, not quite running, so it will get fed up, but I think we need some more seeds in the system to keep it saturated right. A smaller system, 2-to-1s, might be more efficient because then you don't have to worry about seeds being on belts for long periods of time. And that way you have less seeds in the system to keep it saturated. So I think what I'm going to do is go get some more plants, harvest as much as I can, find as many as seeds, and then just saturate the system a little bit more. And I think that'll work. All right, I came back with some more seeds that I divided up in groups of 3, and I fed into the system, so that'll help saturate a little bit more. We were pretty close to full saturation, but I think that worked. So far, the system appears to be working. Everything's running. Needs a little bit more saturation, but I think that'll work. A little bit more Kindle vines in the system. As you can see, we are getting plant matter. It works. I think the only improvement we could have made was to make these in smaller groups, and that might have reduced the strain on saturating everything. But it's not too bad. It seems like it's running pretty well, as close to about 100% efficiency as we're going to get. You might be wondering what we need all this for. Well, what we'll be using these for is that we have mining drills that need fuel. We have smelters that need fuel.
Keep going.
And these things will need to feed. And this way we don't have to hand feed them. So we can start setting up some automated mining thanks to this. So we'll be able to send out maybe one of these containers will go over to our iron node over there. And there's another iron node back there if we have enough. And that'll handle the mining and smelting of the materials there. And then we'll have another container, maybe it'll go out to the copper. Followed by a third container, we actually need it for an intermediate because we need to make plant matter fibers, which require plant matter. And those are going to be used for electronic components, which are used for processors, which we need 1,000 of. So we'll probably save the last one for that, and we can also use it for the machines if we find we need more. I think this is going to give us all the fuel we need to power our factory. And then the rest, the assemblers actually run on the electrical grid, which we will solve in the next episode. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, wait. I thought I was done for the day, and then I noticed something. I noticed in the intermediates is this particular item, the biobrick. And if we look at the biobrick, it says compressed biomatter shaped for simplified storage and transport. Excellent fuel source, which means we have more work to do because we need limestone. We need to take this plant matter and do some limestone, but it's done in an assembler. Well, I guess we know what we're going to be doing next episode. Till then.